What happens when the nap you think is helping you recover is actually stealing your health, your memory, and your independence? Most people believe napping is harmless, even beneficial. A little afternoon rest, they think, recharges the batteries and helps them feel refreshed. But after 4 decades working as a geriatric physician, I've seen something most people miss. Certain nap habits, especially in adults over 60, aren't just harmless rest periods. They're silent warning signs of serious health problems, and in some cases, they're actively contributing to cognitive decline, depression, falls, and heart disease. I'm not here to tell you that all napping is dangerous. Short, intentional naps at the right time of day can be wonderfully restorative. But there are 5 specific nap patterns I see repeatedly in my practice that deeply concern me, and if you recognize yourself in any of these descriptions, I want you to pay very close attention. What you're about to learn could fundamentally change how you approach rest and sleep, and it might just save your health. The first dangerous habit is what I call the television nap. You settle into your recliner after lunch, turn on the television, and tell yourself you're just going to watch one show. But within minutes, your eyelids grow heavy. The voices from the screen become distant and muffled. You drift off, but not into real sleep. The flickering light from the television continues stimulating your brain. The volume rises and falls with commercials and dramatic scenes, jolting you partially awake every few minutes. You might stay in this half-asleep state for an hour or more, and when you finally fully wake, you feel terrible. Your neck is stiff, your head aches, you're foggy and disoriented, and somehow you're more tired than before you dozed off. This is what sleep researchers call junk sleep. It's not restorative because you never reach the deeper stages of sleep where your brain does its essential maintenance work. Instead, you spend the entire time in light, fragmented sleep that provides almost no benefit. The television prevents your brain from truly resting, and your body never fully relaxes. You're caught in this in-between state that leaves you depleted rather than refreshed. Margaret experienced this pattern for years. She was 74, living alone after her husband's death, and she'd fallen into the habit of spending most afternoons dozing in front of daytime television. She told me she felt tired all the time, couldn't concentrate, and had stopped accepting invitations from friends because she felt too foggy and out of sorts. She thought she was just getting old, that this was normal. But when we talked about her television napping habit and she committed to taking proper naps instead, lying down in her quiet bedroom with curtains drawn and an alarm set for 20 minutes, everything changed. Within 2 weeks, she had more energy, her thinking was clearer, and she started reconnecting with her social circle. The difference wasn't that she stopped napping, it was that she started napping properly, in an environment conducive to actual rest. The second dangerous habit is the long, unplanned nap. This is when you sit down to rest for just a moment and wake up an hour or two later, often feeling groggy and disoriented. You didn't plan to sleep that long. You weren't even particularly tired when you sat down. But somehow you fell into a deep sleep in the middle of the day, and now you've lost a significant chunk of time and feel worse than before. Here's what concerns me about this pattern. When it happens occasionally, it might just mean you had a rough night, or you're recovering from an illness. But when it happens regularly, when you're consistently falling into these long, unplanned naps several times a week, it's often a sign that something is wrong. Your body is trying to tell you something. Research has shown that people over 60 who regularly take long daytime naps, particularly those lasting more than an hour, have significantly higher risks of cognitive decline, depression, heart disease, and metabolic problems, including diabetes. Now, you might think the napping is just a result of these conditions, that sick people sleep more. And that's partly true, but the relationship goes both ways. Long naps disrupt your circadian rhythm, the internal 24-hour clock that regulates not just sleep, but also hormone production, body temperature, digestion, and countless other bodily functions. When you sleep for extended periods during the day, you're confusing this clock, and that confusion has cascading effects throughout your body. Thomas came to me at 79 because his daughter was worried about him. He was sleeping 2 to 3 hours every afternoon, and when she called during those times, he was difficult to wake and confused when he finally answered. We ran tests and discovered he had moderate sleep apnea, a condition where breathing repeatedly stops and starts during sleep. His nighttime sleep was so fragmented and poor quality that his body was desperately trying to catch up during the day. Once we treated his sleep apnea, his need for those marathon afternoon naps disappeared. His energy returned, his memory improved, and his daughter stopped worrying that he was developing dementia. The third dangerous habit is the catch-up nap after a bad night. You tossed and turned all night, maybe got 4 or 5 hours of broken sleep, and now you're exhausted. So, in the early afternoon, you take a long nap to make up for what you lost. It seems perfectly logical. You need sleep, so you're getting it when you can. But this strategy, while understandable, often makes the problem worse. Your body operates on that circadian rhythm I mentioned, and it expects to be awake during daylight hours and asleep at night. When you take extended naps during the day, especially naps longer than 30 minutes, you reduce your sleep pressure, the biological drive to sleep that builds throughout the day. By evening, when you should be feeling sleepy, you're not tired enough to fall asleep easily because you discharged some of that pressure during your afternoon nap. So you lie awake again, get another bad night's sleep, feel exhausted the next day, take another long nap, and the cycle continues. This pattern can quickly evolve into chronic insomnia, a condition that affects mood, cognitive function, immune health, and overall quality of life. Breaking this cycle requires something that feels counterintuitive. You have to resist the temptation to take long catch-up naps, even when you're tired. Instead, limit yourself to a short 20-minute nap before 3 in the afternoon, and push through the tiredness during the day with gentle activity, social interaction, and exposure to daylight. This helps rebuild your natural sleep pressure so that by bedtime, your body is genuinely ready for sleep. The fourth dangerous habit is the late afternoon nap. You feel that familiar slump around 4 or 5 in the evening, that wave of drowsiness that makes your eyelids heavy and your body crave rest. So you lie down for what you intend to be a brief rest, and maybe it is brief, just 20 or 30 minutes, but even this short late-day nap can wreak havoc on your nighttime sleep. By late afternoon, your body is beginning its natural preparation for nighttime sleep. Core body temperature is starting to drop, melatonin production is beginning to ramp up, and various systems are shifting into evening mode. When you nap during this transition period, you disrupt these preparations. You might then find that when you try to go to bed at your normal time, you're simply not sleepy. You lie awake for an hour or more, frustrated and increasingly anxious about not sleeping, which makes falling asleep even harder. Over time, this pattern of late napping, followed by difficulty falling asleep, can lead to chronic sleep problems with all their associated health risks. Impaired memory, mood disturbances, weakened immune function, increased inflammation, and elevated risk of heart disease and stroke. The solution is simple, but requires discipline. Avoid napping after 3 or 4 in the afternoon. If you feel that late-day slump, combat it with gentle movement, social interaction, or a brief exposure to bright light, rather than giving in to sleep. The fifth and final dangerous habit is what I call snack napping, taking multiple short naps throughout the day. You doze for 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, perhaps 4 or 5 times over the course of the day. Each individual nap seems harmless, barely counts as sleep really, but the cumulative effect is significant and concerning. This fragmented napping pattern is often associated with equally fragmented nighttime sleep. People who snack nap during the day frequently report waking multiple times at night, never achieving the sustained, deep sleep that's essential for physical restoration and cognitive function. The research on this pattern is sobering. Frequent nappers, particularly those taking multiple short naps daily, show higher rates of memory problems, slower reaction times, increased fall risk, and elevated rates of depression, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. Helen demonstrated this pattern when she came to see me at 81. She couldn't understand why she felt so tired and foggy all the time. As we talked through her typical day, the picture emerged. She'd doze in her chair while reading the morning paper, nod off during a mid-morning television show, sleep briefly after lunch, doze again while sitting in her garden mid-afternoon, and often fall asleep in her chair after dinner before eventually moving to bed. None of these naps felt significant to her, but together they were fragmenting her sleep-wake cycle so severely that her body never fully committed to being either awake or asleep. We discovered that one of her medications was causing daytime drowsiness, and when we adjusted it, the constant napping largely resolved. Her nighttime sleep consolidated, meaning she slept for longer stretches without waking, and within a month she reported feeling more alert and energetic than she had in years. The snack napping hadn't been a harmless quirk. It had been a symptom of a solvable problem that, once addressed, dramatically improved her quality of life. If you recognize yourself in any of these 5 patterns, I want you to do 2 things. First, start keeping a simple sleep log. Note when you nap, how long each nap lasts, and how you feel afterward. Note the quality of your nighttime sleep. This information will be invaluable if you need to discuss sleep problems with your healthcare provider. Second, talk to your doctor. Excessive or poorly timed napping isn't something to ignore or dismiss as normal aging. It can be a warning sign of sleep apnea, thyroid problems, medication side effects, depression, chronic pain, or other treatable conditions. The good news is that sleep problems in older adults are often fixable once the underlying cause is identified. Better sleep doesn't just mean feeling more rested. It means better memory, improved mood, stronger immunity, lower risk of falls, and reduced risk of serious diseases. Your sleep habits matter more than you might think, and small changes can yield remarkable improvements in your overall health and quality of life. So take an honest look at your napping patterns. Are you dozing in front of the television when you should be taking proper, intentional naps in a quiet space? Are you falling into long, unplanned sleeps that suggest an underlying health issue? Are you trying to catch up on lost nighttime sleep with extended daytime naps that only make the problem worse? Are you napping late in the day and then struggling to fall asleep at night? Are you snack napping throughout the day, never fully awake or asleep? If any of these patterns describe you, commit today to making a change. Set a timer for your naps. Move to a proper sleeping environment. Avoid napping after mid-afternoon. Keep a sleep diary and share it with your doctor. These simple actions could be the key to reclaiming your energy, your sharpness, your independence, and your health. Your future self will thank you for paying attention now.